Hi everyone, Jaymes Mansfield here bringing you yet another video. Oh my god, it's yet another episode of Iconic Blondes. Yes. Oh my gosh, and today's Iconic Blonde is all the way from the UK. Yes, that's right. Today we are doing England's answer to Marilyn Monroe, Diana Dors. Yes, oh my gosh, Diana Dors is iconic and I'm so excited to talk about her. All right, so first things first, I have to start doing a roller set. Now, I'm really excited about this because I actually am probably gonna wear this hair a lot because I wanna do a photo shoot. So this is gonna be some hair I'm gonna wear for that. So look out for that in the near future. But yes, first things first, we got part this hair because she wore a very severe part. Now, this hair would be similar to a lot of blonde bombshells because like in the 1950s, the girls kind of had a look that they were going for. And Diana Dors was very, very lucky being one of the few women in England to have a look like this. Like she was the bombshell of England. Yes, the Swindon Dors from Swindon. Diana Dors was fabulous all the way from like birth, okay? Like she was a destined performer, especially in the UK. When she was younger, her family and like basically didn't really know what to do with her because she was kind of a wild child. And she was not a very good student. So she had always wanted to be a movie star. And she had told us to her father she wanted to be an actress desperately because she was just bored with school. It did not do anything for her. And the way she convinced him was that she told him, you know, it'd be a real waste of money to throw away at university for me when you know I'm just going to drop out. So why don't you just send me off to this acting school instead? And her father, she played him like a fiddle because he was so frugal and so cheap. He was like, you know what? Fine. Go to London and be an actress. And she went right to a very prestigious acting school in London where she was basically being propped up to be, you know, this prim, proper English actress. Now, women in films at that time were very, very, for lack of a better word, restrained. It was a very restrained performance a lot of girls were doing. Elocution was like the height of everything, you know? Women had to talk a certain way. Everyone was very stiff, you know, and Diana Dors, no matter how much they tried to like put a straight jacket on her and like really mold her into a type, she always just kind of poured out Diana Dors. And time would roll on. She would do quite a few like acting parts in films. And the camera loved her because she was a naturally just beautiful girl. Like this beautiful full face, these gigantic full lips. She was a beautiful woman. Now, at the acting school, Diana Dors wasn't as restrained as you'd think she would be. She had quite a few boyfriends, but people always remarked that like she liked bad boys. Like she liked guys that, you know, were out for a good time. And she was out for a good time too. Like she loved pranks. She loved, you know, going out and causing trouble. And she found herself mixed up with quite a crowd. But this also bled over into the kind of parts that Diana Dors would get cast in. She was always casted in things that were sort of like the floozy role. Like she was like usually the town tramp or like the fast girl in the class. She had enough smarts to realize all these parts I'm getting, I probably would, you know, get them a lot more and, you know, with more succession if I was a blonde, because it's essentially just a blonde part. So she would dye her hair platinum blonde and her career would change forever after this. Now, first things first, I'm going to roll this up and I'll be right back and we'll discuss the explosion that was Diana Dors, the blonde bombshell. All right, we are back. The hair is all curled. Now let's get into it, honey. Now, Diana Dors not only changed her hair color, she changed her name. She was born Diana Fluck. And when she went to her acting school, they immediately changed her name out of fear. Should one of the letters on the marquee go out, it would say something very obscene. So Diana Fluck became Diana Dors. After doing a lot of like nothing movies, like she did a lot of films where she played essentially the same character. She was always kind of the trampy, loose girl, like the young, you know, boy crazy girl or the girl from the wrong side of the tracks. Like it was all becoming very same to her. So she decided, well, since I'm already being typecast as this anyway, it probably would like behoove me to be blonde while I did it. It probably ensure I get a lot more work. So she bleached her hair blonde. And honey, when I tell you, this was a cultural reset. Diana Dors, the blonde bombshell, was born. And at this point, she had connected with a man who would become a micromanager of her career for a long time. This boyfriend would eventually become her husband, and he saw dollar signs in his eyes when he got a look at Diana Dors. He knew immediately this is something so marketable that England has never had before. They never had like a taste of Hollywood glamour like this. And Diana Dors looked like no other. Like at that time, English actresses weren't glamorous like this, okay? Like she was essentially their very first sex pot sex symbol, and they owned it. And Diana Dors would take to this image very easily. She could slip in and out of it, but she also would grow to resent it really quickly because it became really limiting into the kind of parts she would get. Like for the most part, she was always dismissed as an actress, even though when you look at like the gamut of like great Hollywood actresses and great actresses of like the blonde bombshells, like Mamie Marilyn, Jane Mansfield, Diana Dors was by far the best actress of all of them. Like she could act circles around all these girls. Like she was really, really good. And there were moments of like great acting caught on film with her, which for most actresses of her caliber was not the case. Like her best movie would probably be Yield to the Night, where she plays a woman who at the start of the movie, you think it's just a standard Diana Dors movie. Like she's very glamorous. She's in like the trench coat with like, you know, flocked, really styled hair, like the signature Diana Dors look, but she shoots somebody dead. And it's very, very campy and great. And then goes into this really, really serious woman in prison film, where she's playing a woman on death row. And she looks horrible in it. Like her skin has no makeup on it. Her roots have grown in. Like she really dedicated to the part. It's one of those instances of actresses deglamming themselves to be taken seriously. A brief second, critics were really hailing her, but immediately fell right back into, well, that was just a fleeting moment, wasn't it? Because Diana Dors would get the attention from this and then immediately get shipped off to America to try and make a career there. This husband made a spectacle out of Diana Dors. And she even remarks in her books later, like, she could tell she was being taken for a ride, but she was just so in love with him that she overlooked everything and didn't really nurture her career or take care of it the way she was supposed to. She could have been a much serious, much more successful actress had she had the dedication. She didn't have that. She just wanted to be in love. And every bit of money that she got, she put back into basically catering to her husband's needs. And she said this is a running theme throughout her life. Like she would build a swimming pool even though she didn't swim. She spent thousands of dollars on alcohol when she didn't drink. It was just basically to create a playground for whatever man that was in her life. It's like wild the money she burned through. Like she'd make it and then it'd all be gone, either through, you know, spoiling her husbands or bad husbands gambling it away. But Diana Dors would land in Hollywood in the 1950s. And it was, for lack of better words, Diana Dors was kind of a flop in the US. She did not carry over here with the success she would have in England. Like she was, you know, a big fish in a small pond in the UK. Like there weren't very many actresses that were like her. Whereas when you enter the United States, the second she landed, she was hit with reporters asking her about her thoughts on Marilyn Monroe. They did not let it rest. And the press would have a field day with Diana Dors. Her career here was essentially destroyed by the press. Diana Dors' reputation was really what stopped her from having a career in the US. And a bad choice in men at that time, because a lot of the times they were only really interested in servicing themselves and going along for the ride. So Diana Dors would star in a few movies here, like I Married a Woman, The Unholy Wife, like borderline exploitation, you know, bad girl roles, which led to the press running with this narrative that Diana Dors is a bad girl. Like when you look at old photoplay articles about her, like there'd be cover stories, tabloids basically saying like those naughty, naughty stories about Diana Dors, those wild parties at Diana Dors' estate, much to the point where like studios had a hard time basically marketing her and taking her seriously. Not to mention the films she was put in weren't great. And they weren't bringing back a whole lot of great box office to really merit putting her in a lot of things. But the worst was yet to come at a pool party that her husband had thrown where he invited everyone, a bevy of who's who, but he also invited Luella Parsons and Hedda Hopper, the most ruthless tabloid journalists. Now, an incident would happen where Diana Dors was walking along her pool and a journalist shoved her in the pool. And basically, when she emerged, her hair was drenched, her clothes clung to her, and everyone started snapping photos of her, basically embarrassed coming out of the pool. Her husband caught wind of this and started beating a photographer senseless, like got on top of him, started pummeling him, and now they're taking pictures of this, which just led to Hedda Hopper and Luella Parsons writing articles in here like, Diana Dors, go back to England and take your husband with you. That kind of press. Like she had go home heat. And her career wouldn't really recover after this. Like it was a big scandal that studios had a hard time looking past. So soon enough, Diana Dors would retreat back to the UK. She returned to England, and after divorcing her husband, she would soon hook up with Richard Dawson. Now, Richard Dawson was, at this point in his life, kind of a struggling comedian in the UK. At that point, he was known as Dickie Dawson. He married Diana Dors and was basically the boost in his career that he really needed. He was married to someone that was very, very respected in the UK acting world. As far as like acting status and fame goes, they would do specials together, records and everything. And she basically gave him a great platform to basically jump off from. And he eventually did and left her in the dust. As soon as he got to Hollywood, he became Richard Dawson, who is probably best known as one of the, mainstays on the Match Game. He was the Richard Dawson, the very flirty Englishman on the Match Game. This is years after the fact, but he became a very popular television host here in the States. Him and Diana would have a few kids and they would divorce again. And Diana Dors wasn't doing good. As far as like her career was going, it was in the toilet. So Diana Dors returned to the UK, where she would meet actor Alan Lake, which is one of the marriages that's, for lack of better words, one of her better ones. She was very happy with Alan Lake. He was an actor like she was, and he made her laugh, and he was everything she wanted, only he had a drinking problem. And it would get so bad to the fact that she couldn't make excuses for him anymore. She was having a really hard time career-wise. She had done pilots, she had done television here and there, but she wasn't really landing anything anymore. She was kind of looked down upon as being sort of a has-been. Her next big break would come when Alan would do a play, and they coaxed Diana into doing it, and the only reason she did it was because she could be with her husband. So she did this play, and the talk of the town was, can Diana Dors actually hold her own against actual theater actresses, this movie star? And lo and behold, she could, and she did, and she was a phenomenal actress, because like I said, she was a great talent when it came to acting. Diana Dors had a great presence about her, and a reality to her that really just came through on film. And at this point in her life, she needed it because she was virtually just surviving off of nightclub acts. Doing the touring circuit like Mamie Van Doren and Jaymes Mansfield, doing cabaret, and hating every second of it because it was the rowdiest crowds that would come to these cabaret shows to see these former actresses of Hollywood fame. So this was a real career low point in her life. And the fact that she got to come back to the stage and come back to acting gave her enough exposure to do her next projects. She would be in television shows like Queenie's Castle and virtually had reshaped her image from being this gaudy sex symbol to being sort of like a fabulous aunt. Because at this point in her life, she had gained some weight and she didn't look like the Diana Dors of the 1950s because after all, we all age. So from this point on, she would reinvent herself. You watch old interviews with Diana Dors, she is quick and she keeps up with people. She's a lot of fun and did not take herself very seriously, but also didn't take crap off of anyone. Now, I'm gonna tease the rest of this and I'll be right back. All right, we are back. Now, I started smoothing and cutting it off camera. I did one side here. I'm working on this side now, because it's the more showy side. Because basically, one of her signature hairstyles was a page boy, long, blonde, beautiful. References of Marilyn in the front, the flick and everything. But for the most part, it was almost kind of 40s the way she wore her hair. Really, really elegant. That's the thing about Diana Dors, she was really, really elegant for being this glamorous blonde bombshell of England and everything. She had great clothes, great hair. And honestly, she had the best look. She really rocked it really well. Diana Dors' career in the 1970s and 80s honestly was kind of a peak for her. She was on a bit of an uprise because she had basically had a great resurgence by appearing in the Adam Ant video for Prince Charming. This is a huge boost in her career and put her in front of young people's eyes again. And on top of that, she became a really big fixture on the talk show circuit. Parkinson and all those people. She's really, really big on the late night talk show circuit. And she also was in the tabloids quite a bit for her weight gain. It's kind of a personality people took a lot of pot shots at. But she was fully aware of the fact that, yeah, I know I don't look like I used to look, but she didn't care. She was just aging and embracing it, but also still maintaining the image of Diana Dors. She always had, the bright white platinum blonde hair and dressed really beautifully. One of her friends concocted an idea where he pitched to a mid-morning television station that Diana Dors should do a weight loss segment on morning television. Now, at this point, mid-morning television was like the dawn of it in the 1980s and 70s, okay? Like, it was really a big thing over there in England. And Diana Dors did the show, and immediately it was a hit. Now, the premise goes is that Diana Dors would basically come on and talk to the audience about recipes and nutrition and all these things they could be doing to help lose weight, and also like accompanying them on her own weight loss journey. Now, bear in mind, she would soon be outed later on after her death that she knew nothing about any of this stuff, and they honestly believe like she was never actually dieting. And the way it would work is like at the end of every segment, Diana Dors would weigh herself. And wouldn't you know it, she lost a pound. Well, the way that she did this was Diana Dors wore really heavy costume jewelry. So when it came time for the weighing, she would take off a bracelet, a necklace, her earrings, flip off her shoes, get on the scale. And wouldn't you know, she's down a couple pounds. Like she was doing this for a long time, but she would soon noticeably lose weight because one thing she was keeping secret from the public and even her own family is that she had cancer. So much so to the fact that she eventually would have to go to hospital care for it. And she knew she didn't have long. She had about 2 years to live. And she honestly lived it up as much as she could. But she would go into the hospital and tell her son that it was just, a routine, female procedure, nothing to really worry about. And she died the very next day. And it was really, really sad. Like, so much so that her husband honestly couldn't go on without her. He was that in love with her. And I won't go into details about how he passed, but it was really, really sad. And honestly, like, she was his life. And he couldn't really function without her and eventually just withered away and made a decision that really rocked the Dors family. Even after death, Diana Dors' name was still in the public eye because she would leave behind a safe, a vault, that had a code on it that she didn't tell anyone what it was. So years would go by and people wouldn't know what was inside of this vault. And people would go online and have contests trying to figure out the combination to this code. I don't know if they ever opened it. I should find out. Let me see. Let's see if her vault was ever opened. Okay, the jury's still out. Some say it's a hoax. Some say it's still a mystery. So if someone is in the UK and knows a little bit more about the story, leave it down below in the comment section because I actually really want to know, like, was her missing millions ever found? But like Diana Dors left behind such a legacy. Like she was such a gorgeous, gorgeous woman. And it's like really kind of a tragic story considering like she could have been such a different kind of actress had she been taken seriously. She was lucky enough, like I said, to have moments in her career where you really got to see through the facade of the blonde bombshell and see the raw talent that was there. But also, like if you watch some of her American stuff too, like The Unholy Wife, like she has this like way of captivating the audience. There's like, she was amazing to watch on screen. Like she belonged in front of a camera. All right, for the most part, we have the Diana Dors hairstyle coming together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it and just adjust the bang a little bit. And I'll be right back with the final result. Welcome back. This is the final result. Oh my God, girl, I did this, all right? This is exactly how her hair was. Now, sometimes she'd like pull this side back with like a clip or something. But for the most part, when she wore it fully down, this is her hair. Like, it's so elegant and so pretty. It's like almost referencing the 40s, like how it looks, like the page boy and everything. Like, she had such elegant, pretty hair. Oh my God. I had so much fun doing this. I have to say, like, I love, like, especially pulling back from old Hollywood. Like, Diana Dors is one I've been meaning to get around to for a while because her story's wild. The amount of like drama that happened in her life is like, girl, I only touched the tip of the iceberg with Diana Dors, okay? Definitely look her up. Like she has great documentaries available on YouTube. Her Arena Blondes, by far the best Arena Blondes there ever was. Check out that documentary from the BBC. All right, now I'd like to take a moment, a Venmo moment where I thank everyone who's tipped me on Venmo. I would like to thank Sergio again, Patrick, and Letha. Thank you all so much for the tips on Venmo. And I also have some YouTube super thanks from Mary and Lulu. Oh my gosh, thank you all so much for the YouTube super thanks. Now this was so much fun. I always adore doing the iconic series. Like if there's any iconic blondes or brunettes you want to see, be sure and leave them down below. I'm always listening. I know some of you have been asking for Diana Dors for a while and I've been meaning to get around to her. It's just, I had to switch it up a little bit because I've done a few hairstyles that are similar to this. So I wanted to break it up some, so it's not just like 1950s hair all the time. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye. Now hit the outro. Click here and watch me recap Scream 6 while I do my makeup. Or watch Iconic Brunettes, Maria Felix. Come on, click it, you know you want to. If you don't click it, I'll lock you in a trunk. So click it.